Hey, Lowco football fans, welcome to the final edition of the season of the Lowco Pigskin preview, because there's only one game left on the schedule, and it's the granddaddy of them all for us here in the Lowco, the Class 3A state championship game up at Benedict College in Columbia, Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Going to be Beaufort High School against Powdersville. We were there a year ago, Wes, and it was a disappointing night for Beaufort High in a blowout loss to South Point, but I really have a feeling this night is going to be different. I think this is a different team, a team that that carries the experiences of that team, but has grown into its own entity that goes into this game with a completely different mindset, a different level of confidence. No longer is there, that feeling of being happy to have made it there, and that being a feeling of accomplishment. There's still a hunger with this team that won't be satisfied unless they win on Thursday night. And we have a great show lined up to tell you all about it from all angles. We got Colton Phares, the star of the Beaufort Eagles, one of the many stars, but man, he has been the magic man lately. We got Robert Mustar, the coach from Powdersville, who was super accommodating, a very impressive man. You can definitely see why that program is where it is, much like Bryce Libran with Beaufort High. Then we've got Jimmy Searson, the biggest Beaufort High fan of them all, and he's helped us cover the Eagles all season long, so he'll help us break down the game. And another Beaufort High legend, the Ghost, Ron Parker, jumped on with us to talk a little bit about this year's team and the past teams of Beaufort High, the history a little bit, and reflect. And he had a lot of really nice things to say about this coaching staff and this team, so you're definitely going to want to check that out. So great show on tap, guys, but people have been listening to our insight and analysis all season, so I know they want to know what we think about this too. So I'm expecting Beaufort High to come out, play a great football game, be ready to go from the jump, but I expect the same from Powdersville. I mean, I think this is going to be a really solid game, well played game, where it's going to come down to just a few plays that somebody executes and somebody doesn't that are going to be the difference. But I'm eager to hear what you guys think about it.
Yeah, I think it's a very evenly matched championship game. I think the start is going to be key for this Beaufort team. You don't want to get behind early. We saw that last year, and I think you kind of want to match the energy that you saw from South Point last year. You want to be the quicker team, faster to the football, and if you can really set the tone with that first drive or that strong first stop, I think you can really gain momentum. But yeah, it's an evenly matched game. Powdersville coming in at 13-1, just took down Daniel, the top team in Class 3A in the postseason. But Beaufort, they beat Dillon at their place, first team to do so at 2011. So two teams that have certainly earned their way to this stage. And I'm expecting a well-played game, back and forth contest. And I think it's going to come down to the very end with two potent offenses and two hungry defenses. So very excited. And like you said, this Beaufort team, I mean, they're excited to be back here, but that wasn't the goal. I mean, Bryce Libran said since we started this thing, the goal was not to get back, but to win it. And they're going to be all in to get it on Thursday night and bring a title back home to Ladies Island.
Yeah, these the Beaufort kids look like, especially at Dillon, they look like they've been there before. They were excited, but it wasn't like they've never been there. So I think this year is a little bit evenly more matched than South Point because of the offenses that Powdersville and Beaufort runs. Both teams like to keep it on the ground. Powdersville got that guy, Thomas Williams. He's a Power 5 commit for a reason. So that's going to be a tough task to handle. But also Beaufort, you have a D1 guy too, and Colton Phares, and in my opinion, Casey Fields. So I think it's going to be a more evenly matched game with both teams trying to establish the run game. I do believe the start is the key to the game, and I believe the turnover margin, I mean, we've seen it time and time again. The turnover margin is what's going to win you this game.
Yeah, you can't turn over 5 times and expect to win. But at the same time, what Beaufort was able to do last week at Dillon, have all those mistakes, but still find a way to pull it out, just speaks to that mentality and that resilience of that group. But you want to have a clean game. You want to control the football and do what you do best with your athletes, with Casey Fields and with Colton Phares, and those two are obviously going to be the key. But I'm excited to see that matchup on the offensive line between guys like Hart Cushman and that Beaufort line against Xavier Fowler, who's had that terrific year for Powdersville. So I think the battle up front is going to be another storyline. I expect Beaufort to find a way to get those players on the outside and create that strong run game that we've seen, and use the option to your advantage and it's really, I mean, it is tough no matter who you got to defend three potent guys in Casey Fields and alongside Colton Phares, and then Samari Bonds, who you kind of we didn't really talk about that much because I mean Fields and Phares really been the stars of the show, but what Bonds has done to manage the game as a sophomore and provide his own potent offense with his legs has been outstanding and huge for this Beaufort team. So execution on offense, if they can execute the way they did against Dillon, I expect them to put points on the board, despite that Powdersville defense that held Clinton to just one offensive touchdown. There's something to be said about that because Powdersville, I mean, they've got a strong defensive core led by Xavier Fowler, and don't forget about Thomas Williams over there in the secondary. So it's a strong group, and Beaufort, well, they can't be afford to make many mistakes against this Patriots team. But, you know, on the other side of the ball, I mean, you look at that defense and what they've done, all 11 guys stepping up. And, I mean, Colton Phares has really been a spark plug, but so have so many others. When you look at Dom Camacho, Carter Bowersox, Lamar Knight, Jamar Knight have been anchors, and they should have a lot to say against a very strong Powdersville quarterback. And Eli Huggins, who's got a great arm, but you know, they're able to shut down Oxendine and then in that Dillon offense last week. I think Huggins is a little better, more experienced, but I think the similarities are there. If you can find a way to control him and control Huggins, then you just got to worry about Thomas Williams, and then that might be the guy on this Powdersville offense, that workhorse running back. But, you know, that Beaufort defensive line has been stout. Jack Sumner, Robert Johnson, Jaden Simmons, Will Klein at linebacker have been tremendous, and you expect them to be physical, quick, and first of the football. And if they play at that intensity and just that higher level that we've seen, I think they're going to find a way to make some key stops, get the ball back to the offense, and find ways to take control on the scoreboard. So it's going to be a fantastic matchup. I think Beaufort's experience being there for the second time in that group of 22 seniors. I think every one of them is going to find a way to make their mark, step up, and find a way to carry Beaufort to this state championship.
Yeah, I feel like Powdersville is kind of playing the role that Beaufort played last year in a way. There is definitely a happy to be there sense. And obviously their coaching staff is trying to fight against that, and their players know you can't be that way, but it's one of those subconscious things that you can't always control, that, you know, their school has never been there before. And obviously it's a short history for that school. But nonetheless, it's a historic thing for them just to get there. And, you know, Beaufort's over that. They're over that. They felt that last year. They didn't like it. So they want to win. And so, you know, I mean, there's just no substitute for having experienced it. So I think that is an advantage to Beaufort. And I think matchup wise, I think there's an advantage to Beaufort too. I think what we've seen from the Beaufort offense in the last couple of weeks, the new wrinkles, the packages with Phares and Fields in the backfield at the same time, along with Bonds, who, by the way, can hit a deep ball on you. He's burned people all season long, you know, hitting Purdy deep and McLeod Rochelle. And he's got some guys he can throw it long to. So I like their multiplicity on offense. I like the way that they can adjust and take whatever the defense is going to give them. And they can adjust at the line and do that too. You know, they do a really good job of that, adjusting on the fly at the line. So I love their offense to score some points no matter what. You know, they're going to find a way to get 21 or 28 on the board. And I like their defense to hold you under a number if they have to. So I do like Beaufort's matchup. I think especially with the guys going both ways on the line now, that really even strengthens that defensive line more, because they can run guys in and out and have a little more depth there and have fresh legs, getting Cushman, you know, in and out on running downs and things like that. So I love the way everything has come together. It's been a mosaic of sorts by that coaching staff. You can see all the pieces coming together that they started formulating, you know, after last year, even to start to fill in the gaps that we're missing and try to solidify this thing. And it's really masterful to see it come together, but I hope they can put the finishing touches on it. But I certainly like the matchup for Beaufort.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And I think if Beaufort can find a way to, you know, just get themselves comfortable early, because last year I felt that they were kind of uncomfortable. South Point really controlled things from the start. And you know, Beaufort, I'm not saying that if you give up that first touchdown of the game, you're screwed, because, I mean, this is a team that finds a way to battle from behind. I kind of expect that in a way, because it's kind of the way they like to play. They like to kind of read and see what the defense does and then make adjustments. And Powdersville certainly has a potent core with Thomas Williams and with Huggins and a couple other strong receivers and Drake Sloan, Kyle Rice. And so I think Beaufort, it might take a while for them to kind of figure out what they need to do, but eventually this defense is just they're gonna get out and they're gonna have the hunger to break through at the line of scrimmage, make some tackles behind the line, or make that key interception or fumble recovery to really turn the tide. So I expect the defense to step up, especially in that second half. And if this offense can get rolling quickly and use the speed and that strong blocking that we've seen from Cushman and the offensive line to their advantage, I think that's going to be really helpful. And then don't forget about special teams, because Beaufort has been terrific in that area. Colton Phares in the return game. And then Jack Trotman. We haven't talked about him much, but he's a strong kicker who can deliver when he's called upon. Yeah. And I think he's going to come through if Bryce Lebron calls his name. So special teams always so important in the playoffs. Beaufort has really had that spark plug all tournament long when it comes to the special teams, and I expect it to become a factor once again on Thursday.
Yeah, for sure. And going to these Beaufort games and watching the Beaufort offense, it's like, in the first and second quarter, especially in the first half, you get the 2-yard runs, the 5-yard runs, and then it's just like in the second half, it starts getting 6, and then it's 8, and then it's 12, and then Casey Fields or Colton Phares is running down the sideline. Yeah. So, they like to play that style. They like to really wear you down, and it hasn't not worked since. So I don't see why they're not going to keep doing it. Two guys that we need to give credit to is Michael Dennison and Jack Sumner in that tight end position, because Michael Dennison's a huge guy. And you're like,
that sniffer back roll.
Yep.
Oof,
you can't.
Man.
You think you can't have another one like that, and all of a sudden, if Michael gets twisted up, Jack Sumner comes in, and they're the same size and almost the same person, and they block the same. So it's just like, oh my goodness. But those guys have done a phenomenal job. Give credit to them, because they really open up holes for Casey and Colton and even Samari. So I'm really excited about this game. I kind of want to see the numbers Beaufort's going to put up against Powdersville. Hopefully. Just that rushing attack is very hard to stop when it comes to the fourth quarter.
Yeah. It's funny that you went that route, because I was thinking the exact same thing, that, I like to liken things to boxing sometimes. And a state championship game is a heavyweight fight. Okay. And Beaufort is the classic old heavyweight fighter who will go in there and he'll absorb some body blows. He'll take a couple jabs to see what you got, because he's feeling you out. He's seeing what he's got to contend with. And then he's going to come back and show you what he's got and wear you down over time. And that's the way Beaufort plays. They're not afraid to punt it. They're not afraid to punt it and trust the defense. They're not afraid to just play football and see what happens. And just kind of take every series as it comes and every play as it comes. And, I think the mentality of this team is as important and as critical to its success as the physical element is. I mean, I think they are really mentally tough. They are well prepared. They're confident. They trust their coaching staff, and everybody is on the same page. And, I think that's going to make a huge difference when they get off the bus on Thursday. And I really expect us to be celebrating a state championship in the Lowco for the first time for a public school since 1945. I mean, it's pretty crazy to think about that history. Here in Beaufort County, that is. Walterboro had one in 1997, old Walterboro High School, but Beaufort County has not had one since 1945. So that's a pretty crazy thing to think about. And that one in 97 is the only one for our coverage area since 1945. So pretty wild when you think about it that way, that it hasn't come down to this quadrant of the state in that long. And for that reason, I think that's why we're seeing everybody get on board in the area. Ron Peduzzi tweeting out everybody's Beaufort Eagles this week, and you see everybody kind of getting on board and cheering them on. So I hope we continue to see that, and I hope that a lot of people take advantage. There's a $25 fan bus. Obviously it's only a 2-hour trip up, but there's lots of ways to get there, and I hope people show up and sit on the home side that Beaufort occupies this year, you know, make it really feel like a home field advantage for them. So going to be good stuff. But guys, let's get into some of our great guests. We've got all kinds of great stuff coming up. Let's hear from our sponsors, and then we'll be back with Colton Phares, Robert Mustar, Jimmy Searson, and Ron Parker, all here on the Lowco Pigskin Preview. This podcast is made possible by our sustaining sponsors. Our original sponsor, Mickelson Law Firm, the official real estate attorneys of LowcoSports.com. Go see Ryan and Tiffany and the Mickle Squad for all your legal needs and support the local businesses that support Lowco. Local Pie, official pizza sponsor of Lowco Sports. They sling the best pies in Bluffton and on Hilton Head, but don't sleep on the mac and cheese.
Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, the official hospice provider of Lowco Sports. For more than 30 years, the committed, compassionate staff at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry has provided a community-based, nonprofit solution to ensure everyone finds comfort, honor, and dignity at the end of life.
Star Home Services, official residential cleaning service of Lowco Sports. Sometimes you just don't want to clean. Call on Carla and her amazing team to do the dirty work at a great price and tell them Lowco sent you. 843 Sport, the official training center of Lowco Sports. No matter your game, 843 Sport is the place to take it to the next level. They're bringing all the area's top trainers and some of the best elite travel teams from various sports under one roof at 843 Sport. DDS Web Design, the official SEO experts of Lowco Sports. If you have a business and you want to get found, look no further than DDS. They can build an attractive and effective website loaded with all the cutting-edge SEO tools you need to show up where people are looking on Google. Dave and Denise will get it done. All right, Lowco football fans, we're expecting some magic now because we got the magic man in the house. Been making magic happen for the Beaufort Eagles all season long. Colton Phares, and we have confirmed the correct pronunciation on the last name finally. Phares. Like Ferris Bueller, right? So easy to remember. Colton, what a phenomenal run you guys have had. We were just talking a little bit before we started recording about you know, this week and trying to get through these 3 days and get to the big game and trying to keep yourself tempered and all that stuff. And how much of an advantage do you feel like it's going to be for you guys this season, having already been through this experience last year, and how much easier does it feel, at least, or how different, at least on this Monday, does it feel than it did a year ago?
It just feels a little bit different this year because last year everyone was so excited that we made it to States. No one we hadn't made it there before, obviously, in many, many years, and everyone was just focused kind of that we're going there all week, but this year we're going to win it. Everyone's more focused on practicing hard and just staying cool, I guess, until we get there and then win it there. So, I mean, we have a couple guys that have played before, played last year, played in States, so that'll definitely help out just in terms of, you know, not getting rattled and just confidence and stuff. But we also have some young guys that are going to have to get used to it. But I think we've pretty much played some of the biggest stages. We played, you know, Fort Dorchester. We played at Dillon this past week, so I think everyone's pretty prepared.
Well, Colton, congratulations on making it back to the state title game for the second straight year. Really proud of you guys. What a tremendous effort, trailing 3 games in a row in the postseason and just finding ways to claw your way back and pull out these wins. Just take me through the Dillon game and the excitement that you guys felt after pulling out a great victory on the road.
You know, everyone loves to play big games on the road. It's always fun to go somewhere else and win a football game against a hostile crowd. I was excited to see how our guys reacted to it, but, you know, everyone reacted well. We'd played in big games before. It was you know, nerve-wracking, but also just we went down in the beginning, but we were used to that. That happened to us 2 other games in the playoffs. We were down by way more than that. We were down 18 at one point against one team, Crestwood. So, I mean, no one got nervous, no one got rattled. We just went out there and kept doing what we were doing, and everyone did their job. And we luckily came out with the W, which was good. Now we're going to States.
Yeah, you guys have definitely found a never quit mentality. I think that a lot of times comes with having a good group of seniors, and you guys certainly have that with you and Casey and Carter and Hart. And I mean, there's a ton of seniors on this team. And you know, every game could be your last. There is no getting back here next year. How much does that fuel you guys when it gets down to nitty gritty time? How much are you seniors stepping up and saying, guys, we got to leave it all out here?
There's 22 of us seniors. So I mean, it does mean a lot, in these big games, every single playoff game, it could be your last. So that is true, especially for us seniors. And it's been really nice. The younger guys have really stepped up and not only played themselves, but, played for the seniors, because every game could be our last. These young guys have done well. Older guys have also done well, with good leadership and stuff. But there's also some young guys that are helping leading the team, offense and defense.
That's a heck of a senior group, 22 strong, and everybody has made such a big impact with the experience and just with that mentality. This is our last chance. We're going to get done, and we're going to keep fighting. And just love the way that all of you guys have bought into what you guys are doing on the field, and just continue to get it done when the lights are the brightest. So congratulations once again, and just take me through this season about how you kind of had to take on more roles this year. Obviously, primarily a defensive back, but you've been able to really step in, not just on the offensive side too, but on special teams with many electric returns throughout the season, punt kickoff returns that have sparked so much for your team. Just tell me about the added roles that you have taken on this year and just how you've been able to carry the loads in all three phases.
That's just another thing that's so good about our coaches. They're really good at adapting to what we need to do to win. We have a couple guys now that kind of play both ways. Michael's gone both ways a little bit. Jack Sumner, Casey Fields, he played a little bit of safety last week, and Jack Sumner played some H-back last week. So we do have a lot of guys that are able to adapt and play both ways, and our coaches just put us in the right positions to play both ways. We conditioned all summer. Everyone worked hard, and now everyone's in shape to where everyone can play where we need them to play. So that's what's good about our team. Everyone's willing to play wherever they need to, and everyone's able to and fit to do that.
Yeah, no question. I mean, yeah, Hart Cushman stepping in there and playing both ways in the trenches last week too. A whole bunch of guys coming up and playing both ways. And like you said, I think that comes from off-season work and getting that foundation in, so you have the conditioning to play the whole game when you need to, and with great coaching, everybody being trained to do everyone's job. You guys have been able to step up and fill roles when you've needed to. And in fact, you've now stepped into the backfield a little bit at times, giving another little wrinkle to that offense and reminding us of when your brother Daniel had to step in and run the offense a few years ago and had such great success. How much fun have you had getting back there and running the ball? And as a defender, how terrified would you be to have to stand on the other side when you got Casey Fields and Colton Phares coming at you?
Yeah, we think it, definitely just gives the defense different looks, gives them a little bit of a mess on their hands just to try to worry about, a two-back backfield plus a quarterback, and especially when you have strong runners back there. So it's been pretty nice getting the ball in my hands a little bit more. It's, it's tiring. I've had to come out a few times, but I don't know. We've been conditioning hard. I guess I'm prepared to do both.
You mentioned, JJ, you mentioned your Colton's brother Daniel and what he meant to Beaufort High over these past few years, and about how he led the Eagles to that region title 3 years back in 2019, taking over for the injured Tyler Haley at the time. How much have you relied upon your brother, and what have you taken from his time as the leader of this Beaufort team, and how have you carried his same mentality and his same play to your game as you look to eye a state title?
I learned a lot from actually my sophomore year. I got to play defense with Daniel, and then Daniel and his best friend William Wimburn. They're both our middle linebackers, and I've been trying to bring a lot what they brought to our defense that year to our defense this year. It's just energy and just never quit. Yeah, it was my freshman year. I guess it was his junior year when he switched over to quarterback and went both ways and just did whatever the coach needed him to do, and just he never quit. He just kept playing. I guess I've tried to take somewhat of him and Williams' mentality and just bring it on to our team this year, which I think the guys have done a good job of, just energy and never quitting, because, we came back in a few games. Everyone just plays hard and keeps working.
Yeah, just be a football player, right? I mean, that's what you guys kind of do is go out and play football, or in your case, be an athlete. I mean, you're also a state championship caliber wrestler. How much do you feel like that has helped you? I mean, I had a little fun on Twitter the other day with the kind of the telestrator where they basically tried to shoot a double leg on you and it didn't work out in their favor. But how much do you feel like that wrestling background helps you with the footwork, the balance, the knowing your body out there when you're trying to break tackles or trying to get a guy on the ground?
Yeah, I think there definitely are a lot of advantages to, wrestling and playing football, just like other sports. There's a lot of kids now that kind of just focus on just playing one sport and perfecting their craft in that. But I also think there's a lot of advantages to playing multiple sports and, kind of piecing things from different sports together and being able to make you better at your main sport or every other sport. I mean, wrestling definitely does a lot of good for you, defense and offense, just tackling and just being tough and, getting through that mental block, stuff like that.
You mentioned some of the off-season training and workouts. You take me through more of that and just the preparation and your preseason mentality of this team coming off that state championship defeat. Obviously, it was your goal to get back there. How did you guys, led by your head coach, kind of get motivated right away to work even harder this offseason to achieve that goal of getting back to this point and now one win away from taking that ultimate goal?
I'm glad, everyone came in. We had obviously new guys, spring training and summer training, but, everyone's ready to work. We knew our goal from day one was to win a state championship and not only get there, but win it this year. Last year we lost. I think there was a lot of fuel from that fire last year, and everyone just worked hard all spring and all summer. Everyone got in shape and everyone just been working together, one team, one family. And now I'm glad that we're getting back there. But this year, the goal is to win it.
Yeah, you mentioned the fuel on the fire from last year's performance. I think we would all agree that you guys were kind of caught flat-footed at the start of that game and then playing uphill against a really good team, and it wasn't going to work out very well. But how much are you guys who have been there, who were a part of that team, really trying to relate to the younger guys the importance of being mentally prepared to step on the field and play your best football from the first play, because you just can't afford to allow, any early lapses to put you behind the eight ball. But how much are you guys focusing on that and leaning on that experience from last year?
Yeah, we have kind of talked to our young guys just about coming out and just, being calm, just playing the way that we play, taking it play by play. But I think they've also just done a good job of that by themselves, just not getting frightened or, scared on a big stage like that. I think they've all done a good job of that, and we just got to come out, even though it's a state championship, it's just another game. So just got to come out and do what we do. Everyone do your job, and I think we'll be all right.
Well, South Flint was kind of the fastest, the quicker team early on that game, but, you guys have really adopted that same mindset throughout the playoffs. This Beaufort defense has really just been on the forefront and been the quicker team, first to the ball. And I think a big factor has been you guys in the secondary. You've been the leader. But, Dom Camacho has been excellent alongside Lamar, Jamar Knight, Carter Bowersox. Just, describe how you have led this, especially this secondary, to reach even newer heights and become better and more coherent as a team this year, and just how you have grown this defense to get to an even better level in 2022.
It's actually really kind of all in their part, the seniors, Lamar, Jamar, Dom's a junior, and then Carter, and we have James. We have a lot of DBs. They all work and practice hard. I've actually really relied on them this year because obviously I have to be practicing, like receiver, running back, so I don't get as much time to do like individual DB work. But, they always take charge, always over their work and make sure everyone's doing their job. And then obviously that makes sure that in games that we're firing on all cylinders. So the DBs just do their job, and so do the linebackers and D-line, and just makes a pretty good defense altogether.
You just rattled off like 6 DBs that are playing really good football. That's a pretty good sign for a high school football team when you got that kind of depth in the secondary, and you guys have it everywhere. It's an incredible thing that the coaching staff has done to cultivate that depth. But I know you've been watching film all weekend and getting ready for Powdersville. What's kind of the scouting report? What can you tell us about, without giving too much away, what can you tell us about what to expect on Thursday night?
Obviously they're a good team. You make it a state championship, you're going to be a good team. They're well coached. They've done good in their past few games. Obviously, they won their games. They had a really tough game against Daniel, and they were able to pull it out. So, it shows that they play hard. And they have a pretty good O-line. They have that Virginia Tech committee plays corner, safety, just kind of wherever they need them to play. Plays a little bit of offense also. So, they just have some good guys. Their quarterback's pretty good also. So, they're good. We're good also. So, it's going to make for a good game.
Very excited for this championship game. 2 fantastic high school football teams, and I'm sure it'll be a big group of Eagle fans because you've had some amazing support this entire year. You guys traveled so well over to Dillon, a ton of Beaufort fans in the stands there. Just how awesome has it been to play in front of this amazing sport, especially those Kirkland crazies at home who will get rowdy when things go well. A lot of things went well for you guys. How awesome has it been to play in front of those fans?
It really has been a blessing just this year and these past few years. Our fans always show up, and they're pretty diehard fans. They're always loud, and I feel like it definitely just impacts the game, home or away. I was actually really impressed. I didn't even think we were going to have that many people with Dillon, but it was a packed crowd. They all do a really good job. Student section always does a really good job. They're always loud, and they're always with us start to finish, down or up. Our fans do a really good job of just being out there and supporting us, thick and thin.
You guys have also had a little bit of an emotional lift in to put a twist on a sad event. But our guy Anderson Jones just had his 18th birthday, doing great, by the way, in his recovery. But he was going to come out and play football with you guys this year, and obviously, life had other plans for him. He's destined for great things. But how much have you guys kind of rallied around him and trying to play like Anderson? I mean, that guy plays so hard in everything he does, and we see a lot of that in this football team as well. Is there a little bit of inspiration coming from there?
Yeah, definitely. I think our football team definitely kind of has that same mindset as he does. No one quits, everyone plays hard. You see, we have the AJ on the front of our helmets, stands for Anderson Jones. I don't know how many people knew that, but yeah, we have that on the front of our helmets every game. We've had that since the beginning of the season. So yeah, he's a great kid. It's great to rally around him and just kind of try to copy off a little bit of what he did. He always played hard, never quit. He's just really a spark on the field.
And I think, that kind of describes this entire team. I mean, everybody's adopted that mentality with that hustle and just giving it their all in every play, never quit. I mean, I think it's just a great description of what you guys have done and playing and play out. And we're all members of the Anderson Jones fan club and just so proud of all that he's done to overcome this tough challenge. And we wish he would still be on the field, but we continue to wish him all the best in his recovery. But, speaking of this team, just that never quit mentality, down multiple scores at home against Crestwood, and you guys just rose to the challenge. When you overcame that hurdle, did you just feel like we can overcome anything that we face now, and we just have that innate quality to just rise to the challenge when the trouble hits, and you guys have just really embraced that from then on? And how is that going to continue to feel you as you get ready to go up against a very good Powdersville team in the state championship?
That game was actually really good for us, even though, it was a challenge. We were down at halftime. I think we were down 12 or something like that. We were down, and coach just kept talking about, everyone just go out and do their job and we'll be all right. And then no one seemed rattled, even the young guys, because they hadn't really been in kind of that situation before. So I was ready to see how they would react. And we came out and we actually got stopped, and then they scored. So they went up 18, which really, really kind of, rattled some guys. But everyone just kept doing their job. I'm glad to see the young guys stuck with it. No one really quit. Everyone just kept playing and doing their job. And we ended up coming out with the win, which was nice to know, because we're going to need that going throughout the playoffs, and we have needed it because we've been down in 2 of our games after that. And it's good to know going into a state championship that everyone's really bought into the program.
Yeah, you've had to come back in each of the last 3 games, but I would also say that you've played a better, more complete game each week. Although certainly you guys made mistakes at Dillon last week and still were able to come away with a fairly decisive win. I mean, without too much stress at the end. So how much confidence does that give you, knowing that, we went to a place where nobody's won a playoff game in 11 years, and we didn't have our best stuff, and we still got out of there with a W? You have to feel real good going into Thursday night that we can overcome anything.
Yeah, it is good to know. Good teams just find a way to win. We had, a couple of turnovers. We made some mistakes on defense, but it's just good to know everyone just kept fighting, clawing, and we scratched back, and we ended up winning the game. So, even with those mistakes, we were able to win. So that's good to know. And I don't see us playing this bad, obviously, and making that many mistakes in the state championship. So I think we'll be all right.
Well, head into your final high school football game as a Beaufort Eagle. Just take some time to reflect on your career and what it would mean to end it on top and bring home a state title to Ladies Island.
That would be great. It's obviously, every high school football player's dream since, they come to high school freshman year, and I've always thought about that. And every year it seemed like it's more of a reality, closer and closer, especially last year. And just be great to send all these seniors off and even get these young guys started on what could be a nice legacy. And just these coaches we're Coach Laburn's first class, actually. He was head coach when we were freshmen. So it seems like it's really been, a championship in the making for 4 years now. So it'd really be nice to get a championship.
Absolutely. Just one step left to go. Thursday night, 7 o'clock at Benedict College against Powdersville. Thanks so much, Colton Phares, and terrific job this season. It's been an absolute pleasure to cover you and to be your hype man for the season. So much fun to watch you play, and the relentless effort is just something to admire. So we wish you the best of luck on Thursday and up at App State. And thank you so much for making time for us, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll be right back with more here on the Lowco Pigskin Preview. Hey, Lowco sports fans. All of our grassroots local sports content is brought to you by sponsors like Homegrown Home Inspections in Bluffton. The next time you buy or sell a home, you have to make sure you have the protection of a great home inspector who has your interests in mind. Jan Lucas and his team at Homegrown Home Inspections do just that. They look out for the consumer. They look out for the client. So next time you buy or sell, make sure you have someone like Jan Lucas on your side at Homegrown Home Inspections, the official home inspectors of Lowco Sports.
All right, we are honored to be joined by Powdersville head coach Robert Mustar, who has led the Patriots to their first ever state championship football game, and they will take on Beaufort on Thursday night at Benedict College. And Coach, congratulations. What an accomplishment for this program. I mean, you started here over a decade ago, and you're one step away from the summit now. So just reflect on this team and what you did to get here.
Yeah, so hey, first of all, man, I appreciate, you guys, any kind of exposure that someone can give high school kids for all their efforts. Kudos to you guys for doing that. But no, I mean, yeah, we're thrilled to be here right now. And it's, week 15. We've prepared to be here. And obviously Beaufort has too. And it doesn't happen by a fluke or a mistake. There's got to be preparation involved. So this was in the plans the whole time. And now that we're here, we're just hoping for a heck of a ball game.
Yeah, Coach, kind of, reflect, because we know kind of a bunch of the Beaufort kids, but kind of reflect on your kids at Powdersville, some of your big name guys and some of your guys that really have carried you throughout the whole season.
So in our state, it's no secret. I don't know about the lower part of the state, knowing about Thomas Williams, but number 21 for us, Thomas Williams, he's a workhorse. He's a Virginia Tech commit. They actually recruited him as a defensive back. But for us, he plays that along with running back, and he's on kickoff return for us. He's a special talent. Obviously, if you're able to, be a D1 guy or prospect, you've got some talent. And it's not just the talent. It's how coachable he is, how disciplined he is. He's one of our team captains. He's a leader, and it shows on and off the field. Number 16, Eli Hudgens, our quarterback. He's a junior. And, man, he has been a leader from us since his first snap his freshman year. He's been starting for us. And, he's dangerous with his legs, and he's got a whip for an arm. So we like that. He's obviously on our team. Then you got senior receiver Drake Sloan. He's a north-south selection. He's had a heck of a year. You've got Kyle Rice, one of our team captains. He's had a heck of a year. Elijah Huggins is a sophomore. And he's done some special things for us in the kickoff return game and as a receiver. And then number 23, Jack Hunsinger, who's a junior, as they had a solid season. And then up front, you've got number 74, DeJuan Wardell, number 55, Peyton Palomares, number 50, Jack Harris, number 71, Keenan Zom, and number 73, Caleb Clement. And those guys have really stepped up in the trenches and done a fantastic job for us. And that's on the offense side of the ball. On defense, we run a 3-man front and playing defensive end. And these are projected starters. You've got number 32, Ryan Hendricks, number 6 at nose guard, Trez Fowler. You've got number 41, Javi Mills. And then our linebackers are 2 inside guys. Number 44, Peyton Little. He's also a north-south selection. And you've got also inside number 19, Jacob Matoka. Our outside linebackers, number 11, Harrison Jeffries, number 43, Jack Corals. Playing the corners, you've got number 7, Jashawn Knuckles. He's just a sophomore, and what a super talent he is. And then Jackson Key, number 8, who's a senior. And safeties, Thomas Williams plays on that side of the ball as well. and then sophomore number 26, Brendan Wirtz.
Yeah, and I thought it was a very impressive defensive effort against Clinton. Allowed just one offensive touchdown, and a big night for Xavier Fowler, a big night for Harrison Jeffries. Take me through the emergence of those guys and the way this defense has stepped up in the playoffs.
Yeah, so, I mean, our team, these guys, listen, I mean, it's been a fun group to be around and to be a coach. I consider a privilege, you know, just being around these kids. I mean, it's quite the blessing. Yeah, we're talented. And you know, on top of that, I think I said this about Thomas, but all of these kids are very coachable. They're very disciplined, and that just makes your job as a coach a heck of a lot easier. But Xavier Fowler, that kid, he stepped up big for us last week. I mean, he had 4 sacks against the Clinton offense, who is no joke. I mean, those guys, they pounded at you, and you know, I thought that was a class act across the board. Those kids were awesome. Their coaches do a phenomenal job over there. And unfortunately, somebody's season was going to have to come to an end. And our kids kind of rose to the occasion to make sure it wasn't us. But Xavier Fowler, you know, he's playing some running back, playing some defensive line for us. He had a great game. Harrison Jeffries had a pick 6 the other night to really give us a shot in the arm in the second half. Nate Spearman, number 9, he's a senior kicker for us. I mean, he had 2 big field goals the other night. And he handles all of our kicking duties except for punt. And that's Ethan Miller, who's our punter. But, I mean, these guys, you know, they're very coachable and they're very self-motivated. And, I mean, they've obviously got individual goals and team goals. And so luckily for us, we've been able to, you know, check some of those boxes off and make sure some of those things have happened.
Yeah, Coach, talking about, you know, season's endings in the playoffs and just how tough that is. You know, last year y'all had, you know, undefeated record, and then unfortunately your season came to a close in the third round of playoffs. How does it feel to get over that hump and be back here where you want to be in the state championship?
It feels good. Feels like the job's not done. We know we got one more this week, and it's a short turnaround. But, you know, I'm not sure Beaufort as far as like what games they played on what days. You know, our state has inclement weather from time to time, and we played BHP that was opening up our region play. We actually played that game on a Thursday because we had some bad weather coming in here on that Friday. And then in the second round of the playoffs, when we hosted Chester, that game was played on Thursday for the same reasons. And so we've had 2 times this season where we had to really scramble, you know, and get ready on a short turnaround. And so I feel like that's okay. We've been there twice and we've had to do it. And honestly, I mean, this is just me. I'm a man of very few patience, and I'm ready for Thursday to get here. I mean, you know, I'd be totally fine if we were playing on Wednesday. I mean, it's just, it seems like the week will drag on from here until kickoff time. And it's a hard thing, you know, to have patience. You got to grow some, but I'm not very good at that.
Yeah, lots of anticipation when you get to that first championship game, and I cannot wait either for Thursday night in Columbia. But you're taking on Beaufort on Thursday, an Eagle team that got here last year, lost to South Point in the 4A game. A little bit different team offensively, but the defense has been great again, if not even better. And just want to hear your overall impressions on this Beaufort High team.
Yeah, first of all, they're big. My goodness. I mean, you look at them up front, offensively and defensively up front on both sides of the ball. I mean, on film at least, they look very, very big. Probably one of the bigger teams that we've seen up front. So that stands out to you. And you got some exceptional talent on both sides of the ball. I mean, you've got some kids that stand out. You know, I like, you know, the quarterback. I think he's played some good games. The running back, obviously. Your receiver number 10 is very impressive. You know, I'm not good with names. Like, I don't have a roster in front of me. That's just me watching their film. But, man, I think that they're very sound in what they do, and look to be like a very disciplined team. And, you know, once again, it's not a fluke that that team or us is getting ready to have a head-to-head matchup with each other for the state finals. And hats off to them for their season. And, you know, I congratulate them, and we're looking forward to what we hope is a good ball game.
Yeah, Coach, you know, looking at your schedule and your record, your offense put up a lot of points. Your only fluke really came against Hillcrest team. That's a 5A. kind of in the same boat as Beaufort. You know, they lost to a Fort D team. So really and truly in the 3A state, y'all are both undefeated teams. But talking about your offense has looked like it's put up around 40 points a game. Is that coming from, you know, your Power 5 guy, Thomas Williams, or is that a whole collective effort on the team?
So, I mean, yeah, Thomas definitely helps having him back there. You know, and he does such a good job of he's a patient runner, and you know, he's waiting for, you know, a hole to you know, just open up, and you know, it may not be open for a second or two, and he's looking to make something happen when it does. And also just he's got good hands coming out of the backfield. Eli, our quarterback, number 16, Eli Hudgens, has had a great year. Just throwing the ball and running the ball. I mean, he can do both, so he kind of makes you guess back there. He's not one-dimensional. And then those receivers I talked about, I mean, it touches their hands. They're coming up with it, and that's huge. And then, you know, just on top of that, I feel like, you know, our defense has done a great job of giving us some great field position this year as well. Our special teams, I think, has been very solid for us. Go ahead.
Yeah, both these teams have had strong special teams groups, and I think that's a big thing that's kind of overlooked a little bit many times. I mean, you got to have all three phases to win the playoffs, and both this Beaufort Eagle team and this Powdersville team have really shined on special teams, and that's made a huge difference in why both these teams are playing for a state title on Thursday. So tell me about some guys who have maybe been under the radar at the start of the year on this team who have really taken the extra step forward that have been critical in getting you guys to this point.
Yeah, so one of them that stands out to me is number 44, Peyton Little, and he's a north-south selection as a linebacker. But he, you know, probably was flying under the radar, you know, and just listen, we've got number 2 for us, Jalen Rambert, who's a senior, and his season came to an end. He tore his MCL in that Hillcrest game. So we've been without him since week 5 or whatever that was. It was the last game before region play started. And, you know, Peyton has just stepped it up, and it's kind of like we hadn't missed a beat without Jalen. Obviously, we would like to have that kid out there because that's a kid that, you know, going into his sophomore year, he had an offer from Arkansas. He had an offer from Virginia Tech. Going into his junior year, Old Dominion, App State, Coastal Carolina, UAB, Middle Tennessee State, West Virginia. And I mean, he's going to be playing on Saturdays. I mean, they did his surgery, and they said it was a complete success. It was just 3 to 5 months or something like that before he was going to be back to, you know, his self or whatever. But, you know, it's kind of like all our kids are playing in honor of him. And that's heartwarming for a coach because, I mean, it crushed me when I found out, like, that's it. You never know when your last play is going to be in high school football. And that was, unfortunately, it was in that game for him. But we hadn't had just one kid that's going to be able to fill that gap of Jalen. But it's been a collective whole, and everybody has kind of stepped up to the challenge. And it's been a pretty awesome thing to witness.
Coach, I asked this to Coach Lyburn from Beaufort High last week, and I'm expecting I get a little bit of the same answer. You know, you're in week 15. Your guys have been at it since January. How is their preparation? And, you know, is there any lackadaisicalness? And is there just any flukiness with the team? Are these guys keyed up, ready to go?
These guys are keyed up, but I'll tell you like this. My wife, last week, I forget, might have been out like after Monday's practice or whatever. She's pretty good about asking me, like, how was practice today? And I just so want to tell people it was the best practice ever or something. And it wasn't. It wasn't a great practice. It was a good practice, but as a coach, you know, you set a standard now. You've made it this far. You want every practice to be great. The fact of the matter is sometimes you're going to be a little off. And that was actually after we had were fortunate enough to beat Daniel. And that was a pretty emotional game. So, and it was pretty intense. So, you know, we have a routine where we give them Saturday off, and Sunday we get all the kids back up here at the school, and we give them a recovery lift that we do in a weight room together, and then we start preparing for our next opponent. And Sunday was great, and then Monday it was kind of like wasn't pulling teeth to have a great practice. It was just like it felt like we were, you know, we just went through a battle the previous Friday, and after that big of a game, you know, I was a little worried about Clinton, to be honest with you, and what they did offensively, and how are we going to be prepared to stop it. But I felt like our coaches put together a solid plan, and the kids executed that plan. But you know, the fact of the matter is, you know, not every day is going to be your best practice. You're going to have somebody who's a little off, and it's gonna maybe be a ripple effect with some other guys. But I mean, the intentions are great. The kids are definitely, you know, excited about, you know, Thursday. You know, we're just trying to prepare till the last second gets here.
You guys have been tested early on in the year. You got to play Hillcrest, got to play Abbeville. How did those challenging games help build and mold this team into the group that will play for a state title on Thursday?
Well, I can honestly say this. A little less than a year ago, when coaches were calling each other trying to make the non-region schedule, you know, you're looking for who you're going to be playing at home, who you're going to be playing away. Okay, well, I can't be Tuesday. Just who can we get on the schedule? And I tried to put together what I thought was the toughest schedule we could put together. You know, and sometimes it works out, and sometimes you'll call a team and they'll be booked. But, you know, we started out the season playing week 0 against what I thought was a very tough Bloom team. And then after that, we played Abbeville week 1. Followed by Malden, 5A school, week 2. Then we played Pendleton, then Hillcrest, and I really felt like our kids, they did an outstanding job, you know. And listen, when we lost to Hillcrest, that might have been the best thing that could have happened. You know, I don't find a bunch of moral victories and losses, and maybe Beaufort feels the same way with the Fort Dorchester loss, but I do feel like we didn't play our best ball that night, so we didn't deserve to win. And I told our kids, you know, listen, we had some miscues on both sides of the ball and on special teams that night, and we lost by 2 points to a team at the time that was ranked probably in the top 5 in the state in 5A. And it doesn't matter what classification, we want to win. And I think that's any coach's or any team's goal. But we didn't that night, and I feel like if maybe we would have won that night, yeah, that would have been great, but maybe it would have taught us a lesson of you're going to play sloppy and win, and you think you can get away with it. So maybe it's a little bit of a wake-up call for us going into region play, and I think it was a wake-up call we probably needed.
Yeah, I see a lot of similarities in your schedules with playing bigger schools because Beaufort, you know, they started off with a state 5A state contender right now, Fort Dorchester, and they had a sophomore quarterback who's never had game experience at the varsity level, and then y'all lose a heartbreaker by 2 points, and you said you didn't play your best ball. So, you know, looking at both of your strength of schedules, I want to get your opinion a little bit since you're from the upper state. What did you take away from this year's upper state and lower state teams? Do you think the competition was about even? Do you think upper state had an advantage or lower state had an advantage? What's your opinions on that?
Yeah, that's a great question, but I'm going to give you what is a totally honest answer from my part. I kind of live in a bubble, to be honest with you. If we play you, I keep up with you. If you're not on our schedule and you might even be located in the upper state, I'm not paying you a whole lot of attention. We're just trying to be laser focused on the teams we play. And after we play you, you know, I might kind of keep up with you. Like Abbeville, man, listen, you talk about a class act. And if you've never been to a game there, you need to go because we had never been before. And I mean, it was an awesome atmosphere, small town feel. Everything shuts down on Friday night to encourage people to get out there and support the local team. And you can feel the tradition of that place as soon as you walk in there. And you see all the state titles posted on the side of their field house when you walk in there. It's a little intimidating. And it was an awesome thing to be a part of. And we felt like, you know, we played a good game that night. And honestly, that game helped get us ready for Clinton because that was even though it was week 1, our second game of the season, that was the closest thing we've seen to Clinton's offense this entire year. So at least we had somewhat of a game plan to familiarize ourselves with that kind of offense. But yeah, if you play us, you know, then I kind of keep up with you afterwards. And man, like Abbeville was at a heck of a run, and you know, I mean, I just like the way they do things around there. It's a classy group of people, and their kids are great. You know, Hillcrest, I was rooting for them. You know, when we got done playing with them, not when we're playing you, but when we get done, I'll root for you. So I just kind of live in that bubble a little bit. And I think our kids are kind of the same way too.
I think both these teams, Beaufort and Powdersville, have showed why they are elite in these playoffs. Beaufort with a road win over Dillon, the first team to do that since 2011 in the postseason to win a playoff game at Dillon. And then you guys knocking off Daniel. Take me through that game and how your Stars rose to that challenge, and what does a win like that do to your program?
I mean, a win does a lot, but here's the thing: a win anytime does a lot for your program. A win's going to encourage your kids the next week to have better practices. You know, there's nothing they should be hanging their head about. You know, people want to ask, well, what's it like, you know, to, you know, defeat a team that hadn't been beaten since 2000 and heck, I don't even know, 18 or 19 on the road in the playoff or on the road. I don't know what it was. And sometimes I wonder how accurate these things are. And you know, they had this 6-game win streak. Man, none of that matters to me. And I don't know that it matters to our coaches or our kids. We just wanted to be playing the next week. That was it, plain and simple. But that was a good game. I felt like we did some things that were very uncharacteristic of us that game. And I think Daniel probably did some things that were very uncharacteristic of them that game too, because both teams put the ball on the ground more than we would have liked to have in the first quarter, and then maybe some in the second quarter. And then that kind of died down in the second half of the game. But we held a lead for the entire game. And I think there might have been like 4:45 or something like that left on the clock in the fourth quarter. And Daniel scored and went up. And that was the first lead they had in the game. And when they kicked off to us, it was a shorter kick, and we returned it probably to our 40. And with that much time on the clock, our kids didn't panic. we do a drill at least twice a week where we say, but we're down by 2 points. We've got 2 minutes on the clock. We got 2 timeouts. And we know that we score in practice, you know, that you know, we've gone up, or, you know, if we can try to kick a field goal and win it by 1. So our kids were prepared for that moment. And, you know, I called a timeout. There might have been the first timeout. I had 3 of them left at that point in the game. I think the first one I called, there was maybe a minute, maybe 20 seconds left on the clock or something like that. And we're down by 7. And when I went out there, Eli, our quarterback, and Thomas, our running back, said, after we score, we're going for 2. And I said, yes, because here's why. If they believe it, that takes a bunch of pressure off me. And they were also prepared because of the situations we put them in practice. But when they said when we scored, that meant they already knew they were going to score. So, and I felt like in that game, the team with the ball last was probably going to be the one to have the final say. And that's why we went for it. And, you know, I had a couple coaches on the sideline saying, you sure you want to do this? I was like, man, the kids believe in it. We're doing it. So to me, it was a no-brainer. Somebody said, hey, that's a heck of a call. Gutsy call. Nah, man, when the kids believe in it and they execute, all you're doing is saying we were prepared. That's all.
Coach, looking at both teams, you've been down in the playoffs. Beaufort has been down in 3 games in the playoffs, and they fought back. Y'all fought back and faced adversity. With that being said, I don't want you to give away any of your keys, but how do you look to stop the powerful Beaufort Russian attack this week?
I mean, we just got to be in the right place at the right time. If our kids are reading their keys and not trying to do somebody else's job, I think is what we've seen our group start to do better than what we've done in the past. When you can trust the other 10 guys that are on the field with you, you do your part. Don't get out of position. And you know, if you're in the right spot, make a play. Wrap up, drive your feet, make a play. It's pretty fundamental when you think about it. And you know, that's basically it. I mean, I think they've got an outstanding thing going with their offense, and you know, there's some things they do that I think have been a shot in the arm for them in this stretch. And our kids are just going to have to come out and play ball.
Coach, just describe the journey that you have been on here at Powdersville. You had that winless season back in 2012 and have just kept elevating this group forward every year. Just take a look back on the process and the journey from the start to where you are now.
Yeah, so our school opened up in the 2011-12 school year So that's 12 years ago. But we're just completing our 11th year of varsity sports. When we opened up, we broke off from Wren High School. And if you were a student at Wren that was actually zoned to go to Powdersville that first year we opened, and you were a 9th grader at Wren, you had an option. You know, if you were zoned to go to Powdersville as a 10th grader, you could come over to us. And out of probably, I don't know, 160 kids, something like that, we might have got 80 kids. Out of those 80 kids that came from Wren, we didn't have a whole lot of kids that were, you know, athletes or standout athletes, because if they were and they were bought into the system at Wren, why would they leave there? And but we did have a full 9th grade class that were at the middle school, you know, as 8th graders the year before. So that very first year, we only had a JV schedule. We had a full 9th grade class and about half of a 10th grade class, and we weren't part of, you know, having only a JV team. We weren't part of a region. So the schedule we got was kind of just hodgepodge schedule. I mean, playing a team here, play a team there, but the schedule we put together was quite the test. I mean, we had T.L. Hanna, Westside, Christchurch, Lawrence. We had Chesney, who was a powerhouse at the time, Travelers Rest, Crescent, Palmetto. I'm probably missing somebody, but I mean, we were like, I think we were 6-4 in JV that year. But the thing was, we were able to put all our eggs in that one basket, and we didn't have to coach any varsity because we didn't have varsity teams. So all of our focus was on that JV team, knowing that was going to be the foundation for the varsity team that we were going to start the next year. And the next year, very first varsity season, we did go 0-10. And I can tell you that we were either up by 7 or up by 3 or down by 7 or down by 3 at halftime, with the exception of the running clock game when we played Chesney that first varsity year. Every other game we were in, we just couldn't make halftime adjustments. Our kids, you know, they could hang their hat on like one thing. And we had 0 seniors and we had 7 juniors on the team that year. And we go 0-10. And some games, like the Palmetto game, very first varsity game ever, we're at Palmetto and we're up by 21 with about a minute or less than that right before the half, and they score right before the half. So now it's 21-7. We kick the ball off to them to start the second half. They get a real good return. They got very little, you know, territory to have to work to punch it in. Now all of a sudden it's 21-14, and you can see things kind of snowballing. Our kids had a hard time reacting to that, or just, you know, that adversity when it came. And then we end up losing the game by like a score or something like that. And that was kind of the tail of the season. The next year we opened up with Palmetto at our place, and we won 40-something-6. And it was, you could see the dividends starting to pay off. And we made the playoffs, and we lost to Keenan in the first round that year. And then we made the playoffs the second year and had a winning season, and lost to, I think, Fairfield Central that year. And then 2016, we had a heck of a year. We were 11-2. We lost in the third round to Chapman, who ended up winning the state that year. And then we had, you know, a couple other seasons after that where we were, you know, we were pretty good then too at winning records. But then there were 2 seasons back to back where we were 1-9 one season, and we were 3-8 the next season. We won 4 games between 2 seasons. And it's just sometimes, you know, it's just, you know, you got a different type of kid out there. The chemistry is not quite the same, and that's not making up excuses. It's, you got what you got to work with. And I would tell you this, I felt like our coaching staff probably coached their best ball those 2 years, and you became a better coach going through that adversity those 2 years when they were pretty lean. And then when you start seeing like the cycle of kids are coming back through, you know, it just makes it a little bit easier. Yeah.
Well, Coach, we're proud of how you've taken this program throughout the last decade, and wish you all the best as you prepare your team for the state championship game on Thursday.
I appreciate what y'all do, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Coach, and we'll be right back with more here in the Lowco Pigskin Preview.
Hey, Lowco sports fans, our great grassroots local sports content is brought to you by sponsors like Jay's Barbershop in Ridgeland. The next time you're looking for a cut or a trim, you got to go to Jay's. It's the talk of the town and the place to be. You'll get a cut, a shave, a trim, whatever you need, and great conversation with great people at Jay's Barbershop. Jay has been a friend of Lowco for a long time, and we're happy to have him on board as a sponsor. Thanks so much, Jay's Barbershop. Go check them out in Ridgeland. Proud sponsors of LowcoSports.com.
All right, we are now joined by Beaufort High superfan and Lowco correspondent as well, Jimmy Searson. And Jimmy, we are just a few days away from seeing your Eagles compete for the Class 3A football state championship over at Benedict College, taking on Powdersville. How are you feeling, and how excited are you about seeing your Eagles play for a state title?
I'm very excited. I'm ready for the big game. It should be a great game. Beaufort's 12-1 and Powdersville is 13-1. And I've seen highlights of Powdersville, and they got a real good team.
I just talked with their head coach, and we'll get to them a little later, but I think it's going to be a great championship game, very evenly matched. I think either team will have the ability to bring home the trophy at the end of the day. But, yeah, I'm very excited for what we'll see here on Thursday night over in Columbia. But, Jimmy, you've been a Beaufort fan for a number of years now, but I want to know how this team stacks up to the others. Is this the best Beaufort High team you've ever seen?
Yeah, it's one of the best ones I've seen. Overall, the whole team from the offensive line, defensive line, quarterback, running back, wide receivers. This is the most complete team I've seen. Past Beaufort teams had superstars, but the whole team, just didn't gel together. But this year's team is special.
I totally agree, and I agree with you. I mean, I think what stands out in this group is that it is a truly complete team on all three phases. Terrific blocking up front with the O-line, explosive run game with Colton Phares and alongside Casey Fields, of course, and then that resilient and relentless defense and that special team as well, which can flip the game too. So what has really stood out to you the most when following this Beaufort team this year?
Well, I've been impressed with Beaufort's offensive line. I mean, they paved the way for Casey Fields and Samari Bonds and Colton Phares, to have lanes to run through. I mean, they've done a great job. So if I had to pick one thing, it's the offensive line. Without them, I don't think this Beaufort team would make it this far.
Yeah, I like how you brought that up because I think Hart Cushman deserves a lot more praise from what he has done.
Yeah,
and he played both ways in that game against Dillon, both on both sides of the ball, and he was physical, relentless on the field, and just really loved his strength, footwork. I mean, he did it all there, and to be able to have the stamina and the strength to do that on both sides of the ball game like that, that's something special. And definitely think Cushman deserves more credit for what he did out on the field in a place where nobody has won a playoff game since 2011, and Beaufort gets it done. Just tell me the experience. Were you able to get over to Dillon to watch that game, and just take me through your thoughts on watching the Eagles get that huge win on the road at Dillon?
Yeah, that was a great football atmosphere. I mean, they had the fireworks there, and it was crowded on both sides. There was fans standing all around the fences. And, Dillon hadn't lost the playoff game since 2011. And I think they said they won 37 straight home games. So, yeah, that was a big win. A lot of people didn't give Beaufort a chance in this game. But Beaufort played well, and I think Beaufort likes the tough environment like that. But, it was a great football atmosphere at the game this past Friday night.
Yeah, and to do it the way they did, I mean, they didn't play a perfect game. They turned it over 5 times and still found a way to get the win. What does that say to a team like this to maybe not put out your best stuff earlier on, to make adjustments and find that spark to come out and win against a really good Dillon team like that?
Yeah, the 5 turnovers I thought was going to hurt them, but they came out and ran the ball good. They had over 400 yards rushing, with Colton Phares and Casey Fields and Samari Bonds running the ball. I mean, they didn't let the turnovers hurt them. These guys, they wanted to go back to state and win it all this year.
That's what Bryce Libran said. That was the goal. They didn't just want to get to state. They wanted to go out there and win it. And I think they've got a great shot to knock off Powdersville. But, I mean, I think the run game and really the offensive line that has been sparked the run game has been outstanding. I mean, this Dillon team, that defense, we knew that they would be a problem up front, but that offensive line did the job. And I mean, to get 300, 400 rushing yards in a game like that is pretty remarkable. And that speaks to, of course, both Colton Phares and Casey Fields, but also that offensive line you talked about earlier. But speaking more about Phares, how much we got to talk to him earlier in the show. How much have you enjoyed watching him this year? A game breaker with his speed and athleticism. And I mean, that kickoff return against Gilbert. I want to hear your thoughts on that play and how special a player he is.
Yeah, Colton Phares, he's one of the best players I think I've ever seen, on offense and defense. He's an all-around, athlete. But that kickoff return last week, breaking all them tackles, that was probably one of the top 10 plays I've ever seen in my whole life. He's just a playmaker. If you get the ball in his hands, he'll make something happen. But he's been fun to watch this year.
Yeah, I think Powdersville's going to try to make notice of that. And Gilbert learned it the hard way about when you kick it to Colton Phares, he's going to take it to the house. So we'll see what happens with Phares and this Beaufort team. But when you can put the ball in his hands, if you can get the ball in his hands as much as possible, because he is something special whenever he gets those chances. So how impressed are you about this team's resiliency to come back from behind? I mean, they trailed 3 times in 3 straight playoff games, down multiple scores in the second half against Crestwood. I wasn't able to watch that game, but I heard it was an absolute classic. And Crestwood with an excellent quarterback, back and forth game. Beaufort found a way to get a couple stops and pull out the win. Just that no quit attitude. And I think because of that, it's going to be really hard to beat this squad on Thursday.
Yeah, I agree. That Crestwood game was really exciting. Crestwood came out, no huddle, passing the ball on every down. And but Beaufort's a good comeback team. Like you said, they came back, 3 straight games. And even if they're down, they keep playing hard, and they don't even get worried about it because they got the playmakers to come back. And I want to say the coaching, led by Bryce Libran, they've done an excellent job this year. If you watch them on the sidelines, even when Beaufort gets down, I mean, it don't let them bother them. They just go out there and keep coaching them, and they know they could come back from any deficit.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about all those touchdowns they've given up on the first drive. The other team has scored. They just find a way to adjust to what those guys are doing and find ways to make stops. And that just gives all good credit to that coaching staff led by Bryce Libran and his assistants, who have just done a remarkable job, world class, one of the best groups in the state, and just have been so proud of what they've done. And Libran, now this is the 2nd consecutive state championship game, 3 region titles after he took over in 2019. I mean, what more can you say about the job that he has done in such a short time to lead Beaufort to one of the powers here in South Carolina football?
Yeah, Coach Libran's done an excellent job. It's amazing what he's done in his 4 years here. I hope he stays at Beaufort for a long time. I mean, I love his coaching style. I think the players love him. I think he's a player's coach. And I know he's doing a great job, though. You couldn't ask for a better coach. I just hope he stays here for a long time. And all of his assistants, some of his assistant coaches have been here at Beaufort for many years, and they've done a great job also.
I got to talk with Coach Mustar over in Powdersville, and I think this is the makings of a great championship game. Going up against a really solid running back, Thomas Williams, committed to Virginia Tech. Both of these teams are very well coached. I just want to hear your thoughts on. You mentioned you're able to see some film from Powdersville. Your thoughts on this team and what it will take for Beaufort to beat them on Thursday.
Yeah, I've watched some highlights of Powdersville, and they got a real good running back, like you said, and their quarterback makes good decisions. They don't throw the ball a whole lot, but the quarterback can run the ball well too. So Beaufort's got a key on him and the running back. but Powdersville's got a good offense. But I think Beaufort's going to be able to move the ball on them, running the ball, and hopefully Samari Bonds will mix in some passes. But I think Beaufort with Casey Fields and Colton Phares and Bonds, I think they're going to be able to run the ball on Powdersville. But it should be a great game, though. I think it'll be a good, close game.
I think it should be a back-and-forth game with a great finish at the end, and that's what you want to see in a championship setting like that. But I agree with you. I think Beaufort should be able to run the ball on Powdersville. I mean, if they're able to do what they did and execute to that level that we saw against Dillon, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be able to move the ball and pick up some scores on offense.
I agree.
I think the key in this game is going to be, can you avoid those mistakes? Can you execute well on offense? Can you keep control of the football? You don't want to turn the ball over 5 times again. You probably don't want to turn the ball over 3 times again. But you want to keep those to a minimum. And then I think it all comes down to defense. Can you find a way to force those mistakes on the other side and stop this Powdersville team? And yeah, I do think the defensive side of the ball will be key. And I'm just so impressed by the way that this group has really matured and grown throughout. But I think the secondary has really impressed me. Colton Phares is, of course, unquestionably the leader, but Carter Bowersox alongside Dom Camacho and then Lamar and Jamar Knight have been unbelievable. And Camacho continues to rack up those interceptions. Jamar Knight has been relentless in his coverage. And you know what? And we saw a couple coverage sacks in that Dillon game. I mean, Oxendine, he's a very good quarterback, and he couldn't find anywhere to throw it because everybody was covered. Just tell me how impressed you are about the growth of this defense, especially in that secondary.
Yeah, Beaufort's defense has done a great job this year, led by, defensive coordinator Rob Garl. But yeah, I'm impressed. Colton Phares and Carter Bowersox. And then the Knight brothers, yeah, they've played lights out. I mean, they've done a good job. But yeah, Beaufort's defense is one of the strong points. I think that's what's going to lead them to a championship this year.
Keon Rivers had a big game against Dillon as well. Jack Sumner's been excellent on the line. Hart Cushman. Everybody does their job so well. I've said this many times, but it's a team effort. 11 guys lock in and buy into the system. And I think I thought the defense last year was good, but in my opinion, this is even better from what we've seen. I think everybody has really stepped to their role, and it's been a team that plays better than the sum of their parts. And I think this group is ready. And I think from what we saw last year in that championship game, suffering that loss to South Point, you think the experience of being there last year will help the Eagles get out of the gates quickly and do what they do best and pick up that quick lead? Because I think getting that early advantage, which they haven't been able to do very often in the postseason, could be massive. But just reflect on that experience of losing that tough loss last year at South Point and how it will motivate this team to come out strong.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's what I was going to say. I think the loss last year to South Point is really going to help them this year because they got that experience. And, I think they got the confidence, too, with that experience. South Point had a good team. They had all them All-Americans last year. But Powdersville, I don't think they have as much athletes as South Point did. So I think Beaufort's going to go in and start playing good, instead of getting behind like they did in the first half. I truly believe that this Beaufort team's going to go in there and they're going to play a good first half. So I think they got the confidence and the experience will help them.
Yeah, I think the Stars is the key in this game. But you've been in attendance for, I believe, over 600 or so games for Beaufort now.
Yes.
What have been the biggest, your most favorite memories that have stood out to you over your time as an Eagle fan?
Yeah, there's been a few. I remember I was only like 10 or 11. Beaufort played Somerville, and Somerville was led by head coach John McKissick, and he was going for his 300th win. So Beaufort's school officials only charged $2.99 because they said they didn't want McKissick to get 300 wins because back then the games were only $3 to get in. So they only charged $2.99, and they went in there and Beaufort won They beat Somerville was ranked like second or third in 4A, and Beaufort went in there and beat them. So that's one game I remember. And then 2007 when Coach Mark Clifford was here, just making it to the championship game against Clover. Beaufort had a chance to win that. They were ahead at the half, 14-9, but came back and lost 23-14. So that was a game to remember. And then, of course, last year's championship game, which, Beaufort, at least they made it that far, but like we were talking earlier, I think they learned from that loss to South Point. So I think they're going to go in there and play well this week.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had a Low Country state champion in the South Carolina High School League for football since, I believe, Walterboro in the 90s. I mean, it is rare. And to see Beaufort get here for the second straight football season is nearly unprecedented. And once again, just speaks to the greatness of Library in this team. But how awesome would it be to see this Beaufort team win that state championship and win it for the whole Lowco?
Yeah, I'm hoping we finally win one this year. I want to see, like I always say, I want to see Beaufort win a state title in football before I left this earth. And I think we got a great chance this year. But, man, a win in the championship, man, the Beaufort community and even the whole Lowco, is pulling for Beaufort this week. I've seen coaches from, Bluffton, Hilton Head, May River, even Charleston area teams pulling for Beaufort this week. So they got a good crowd cheering them on, and hopefully will make the Low Country proud.
You love to see it because we are one Lowco, and the rising tide lifts all boats, and we love when we cheer for each other, even when we're on different schools. It's a good thing to see all these teams, all these programs, coaches pulling for Beaufort here, and to bring one back to the Lowco and rep the Lowco well, and I think they will on Thursday night. But I think the culture that has been established here in Ladies Island has been very special. And as a Beaufort fan, I mean, you got to be proud of what Liburn has done, but I think it spreads to other sports as well. With basketball, had a great season. They're returning Michael Dennison, who's one of the best players in the state. Baseball with Zach Jacobs, who's an up-and-coming coach over there. It's a winning culture from sport to sport, and I really think you guys, the fans, have been a huge part of it.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I go to basketball and baseball and softball games, and I love this whole atmosphere, with the coaches. I think we got some good coaches now at Beaufort High. But yeah, I think Jeremy Huff's going to have a good year with the basketball team. Michael Dennison, I mean, he's an awesome football player, but he's really good basketball player. And then the baseball team, like you said, with Coach Jacob, I think he's going to do good things at Beaufort. So I'm looking forward to the whole, school year for sports. I think Beaufort High's in the right direction, even led by athletic director Link Lyles. I think Coach Lyles has done a great job at Beaufort High.
Well, you know what they say, the football season sets a tone for the rest of the year, and now they have a chance to finish it off on Thursday with the state title. I think we're in line for a fantastic football game. What do you think Beaufort has to do, and what will be the key areas that will decide this championship game?
Yeah, I think Beaufort just needs to do what they've been doing, feeding the ball to Casey Fields and Colton Phares, and have Samari Bonds, run the ball. But if they don't have, mistakes and them turnovers, I think Beaufort's going to win this game, pretty good. I think it's going to be a good game. But if they don't have the turnovers, I think Beaufort will bring home a state title. But yeah, with Beaufort's coaching staff and all that, I know they'll have the Eagles ready. And I look for a big crowd there. But, yeah, Beaufort, I would just keep doing what they're doing, running the ball and mixing some passes. And, the defense, they've been playing lights out. So I look for them to have a good game, too.
Don't forget about Jack Troutman. He's been proving that he can hit a big kick.
Yes.
And, if the moment comes, I'm sure that Liburn's going to turn his way. So I think it's going to be a complete effort from one of the best football teams we've been able to cover here in the Lowco and in my time at Lowco Sports and in these last few decades. And a really special team that Bryce Liburn has put together here, and cannot wait to see them compete for a state title against Powdersville on Thursday. Well, thank you so much, Jimmy, for coming in, and I wish you best of luck and enjoy the game on Thursday.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. And going back to Jack Troutman, yeah, I mean, he's been a weapon this year for Beaufort. Beaufort's special teams, the whole special teams, that's a key area too. So I think that's going to help them win a state title. But yeah, Jack Troutman, he's done a great job this year.
Comes down to special teams so many times, and Beaufort's is one of the best in the state. So thank you again, Jimmy, and good luck on Thursday, and excited to cover the state championship game. We'll be right back with more here on the Lowco Pigskin Preview.
Go Eagles.
Additional support provided by Cannon Specialty Services, Bluffton Pest Control, Next Move, The Fit Club in Belfairtown Village, and our Patreon members. Join today for $1 or more per month at patreon.com/LowcoSports to get early or exclusive access to our local sports content and exclusive Lowco swag.
All right, we are thrilled now to be joined by the Ghost himself, Ron Parker, a Beaufort High legend and close to my heart, Kansas City Chiefs legend in my mind. Ghost, Ron, what's up, man? Thanks so much for joining us. Saw you hyping up the team on Twitter this morning. I know you're excited about the Beaufort High going back to the state championship game. What have you been able to keep track? How much have you been able to keep up with them this season?
Oh yeah, I've been keeping up with those guys all season, man. Week in and week out, I try to keep up with them. If I can't catch the live stream, I try to stay in the box score, just to catch the stats to see what's going on. Check in every weekend to keep an eye on them boys, just because I know they have something special from last year. So I always just wanted to keep an eye on them, man. And Coach Library, he's a great guy, and I try to just watch those guys and support them, man, even if I can't be there.
Yeah, I mean, already 2 state title appearances in a row, 3 region titles. How impressed are you of what Bryce Labyrinth has done already in his Beaufort High career, head coach?
It's been impressive, man. It's been impressive to see him coming in, change the program around. He's got everybody to buy in, to see the players playing their heart out and they having fun and they actually winning games, man. It's beautiful for the city, and everybody's around there. I know they're excited and love to support the team.
Yeah, I mean, it's been incredible, and you were a part of a great tradition, that for years under Mark Clifford and Libran has kind of taken it to another level. But, I know guys like to look back and say, well, these guys aren't as good as we were back in the day. But where does this team measure up to some of the teams you played on and saw growing up?
For anybody to get to a state championship in back-to-back years, I think that's tough. No matter how good I can say they are, anybody can say they are. I think that's a challenge for the coach and the players to make it there, just back-to-back seasons, man. And that says a lot about the team this year. I think they really separate themselves this year from a team from last year, and I think with them being there last year and having the experience, I think they're ready to take the next step, man. And as you can see, the last couple of weeks, they've been overcoming so much adversity, man. And that's what great football teams do. And I see when they get to the state championship game, they're going to have to overcome some of those adversities. But I think they're willing and ready to take on the challenge.
They have the playoff mentality you need, trailing 3 games in a row, and they just find a way to make those big plays and put themselves over the top. And you played defense throughout your career all the way to the NFL. You know what it takes to perform on that side of the ball. And what a season, what a playoff run so far it has been for Colton Phares and really that entire defense. But Phares certainly one that has stood out and performing on all sides of the ball, but a rock there in the secondary.
Oh man, I love watching him play. He's a stud, man, and he make the defense go, and just see him flying around and just making plays, and everybody feeding off his energy and his plays. He brings good energy to the team, man, and like you said, he's a prime time player to make big time plays in big games, man, and he's been exciting to watch the last 2 seasons, and he's took the step and ready to become that type of player.
He's just unbelievable. And another guy who's been unreal is Casey Fields. And I think he probably reminds you of yourself a little bit in the sense that he's kind of been slept on, not a lot of offers. We're talking with the Ghost Ron Parker, who you kind of got overlooked too. You ended up at a Division II school at Newberry where you shined and kept grinding and made it to the league. But Casey, we keep talking about what an underrated prospect this guy is. And he does it week after week after week. How impressed have you been with him moving to the backfield mid-season and doing what he's done?
Just to see Casey change positions, man, from last season, and just to see him progress, and just to see the play out of the backfield and how explosive he is out of the backfield. I think he got better in the offseason, and this year you can tell he's been working, and man, he's been ready to get back to this state championship game, because he know what it takes and he know what it felt like to lose one. So just watching him play this year, man, I've been really impressed with him. He's like a little family to mine. Ty Mainfields, he played with us, his brother, and they all like fan, man. So anytime I watch him and seeing the step he took this year, it's been big. He's been big for the offense. He's been having big numbers, big games, and I'm just happy for him just to see him take that step. And he kind of reminded me of myself, just being in that sleeper category, because he's not getting the offers or nobody really talking about him like that. But I guarantee you, if he would get a shot and just somebody gave him a chance to get on their team, I know he would make it with no problem.
He absolutely deserves it, and we've heard from Coach Labron and his emotional post-game interviews about how much Casey Field has meant to him, and how much he deserves the opportunity at the next level, because he has been an absolute stud, whether he's in the backfield, and even played defense last night and on Friday, and made some big stops. So, I mean, use your athletes. I think Bryce Labron did a great job in his coaching philosophy, and especially when they stuck to what they did best. They got to the run game in that second half, and then really rode the hot hand of both Casey Fields alongside Colton Phares. I mean, just reflect on Labron's outstanding coaching really throughout this entire season, but especially in the playoffs, to adjust quickly, get up that first score early, and just overcome so much, and now make it all the way to the state championship now for the second straight year.
I think out of all these coaches in the playoffs, whether it's 3A, 4A, 5A, I think out of all these coaches, I think Coach Labron is probably one of the smartest out of them all. And I think he's good at, like you said, just adjusting in a quick, short week, and being able to adjust on the fly, and putting together a game plan where he know how to attack another team, and he know how the other team is going to attack him. I think he does a great job of having the guys prepared, man, on all sides of the ball. And I tip my hat off to him and the coaching staff, because I really think that he's a great mind coach, man, and I tip my hat off to him for getting those guys there back again this year.
Yeah, and you mentioned the staff. The staff he surrounded himself with is pretty incredible. I mean, Rob Gurl, the defensive coordinator, was the head coach at Colton Prep and went to a couple of state championship games there. You've got Kobe Peeler, who was the head coach at Colleton County. There's just a level of trust with that coaching staff that you can really see, that everybody is trusting in one another to do their job, and that filters down to the kids, right? I mean, next man up mentality. Everybody knows everybody's role, and they're able to plug guys in there when somebody's banged up or cramping up or whatever. I haven't seen in a long time as complete a team at the high school level as this one, as far as the depth, the interchangeable parts, and then all three phases of the game. Would you agree that this is about as complete a high school football team as you can have at the 3A level?
I agree. Again, like I said earlier, I think for any team to be able to just get there back to back, this team right here shows something different. And I think they are really special, man. And they got a great leader. Like I said, when I was very impressed when I went back there. I think it was last year, maybe the year before last, when I first met Coach Labron. And I just seen like the way he would put together the game plan, and I seen the way he would feed the guys the notes and what the message he's trying to get across to the team. And I was like, man, this guy, he's really next level. You know what I mean? And I really think his philosophy, man, he's a great one. So like I said, again, to him and all of his staff, everybody on the staff, and it starts from the man up top, and he does a great job of having everybody ready, including the coaches, the players, and everybody around them. So tip my hat up to them, and they got a real special unit, and I don't think there's another team that's been well rounded like this team has put together this year.
They do it the right way. Just an exceptionally well run program, starts from the top with Bryce Labron all the way to the assistants, and the players have all bought in. And just been so much fun to cover this group. And now one more game to go. Thursday night in Columbia, Benedict College taking on a very good Powdersville team. You can head up there to watch your Eagles and hope that they will lift the trophy at the end of the night.
Oh, yeah, I'll head up there, man, and I'm trying to get everybody in the city, everybody in Beaufort County to come out and support those guys, man, because they're going to need it, man, and I believe that feed off the energy in the fans. and I think they're ready to take on this next step. So I want everybody to be there, and I don't want to miss it. And I'll be there in attendance to support my Eagles.
Yeah, it seems like a team on a mission for sure. After the poor showing last year on that stage, I didn't get back. You've got the weekend off, the week off. You're retired for the football game. What do you do these days?
I'm running a trucking company. I own a trucking business, so I'm just sitting at home running the trucks. I have about 3 trucks out there, just running the trucks over all 48 states, and just maintaining with my kids. I got 3 kids right now. My daughter is the 12-year-old, and I got a son that's 3-year-old. They be keeping me real active, man. So spending time with them, running the trucking business, man, and just watching them become great kids. That's it.
Yeah. You see coaching in your future?
Oh yeah, that's the next step. I think in the next maybe year or 2, I'll probably be on somebody's staff. I'm ready to get out, and just because I have a love for ball, so I see myself coaching very soon.
Ron Parker, former standout for the Kansas City Chiefs, here with us. And Ron, just take me back through the early stages of your career. I want to hear about how you got that nickname, the Ghost, and just tell me about your journey through Newberry, kind of an unheralded player, and just worked so hard at that level. And how did it feel to be inducted last year into their Hall of Fame?
It was a great feeling to get inducted last year to the Hall of Fame. Just being able to go there and have the support from all the other alumni, all the other coaches and the staff, and just everybody from around the building. It's a great feeling to know where I come from. I got a stamp there that's gonna last forever, and I'm very blessed and honored to become a member. So I'm very happy to accomplish that. And I got the nickname Ghost from when I was in Newberry, man. I kind of like stayed up the way. Nobody really seen me. I just pop up. And then when we got on the field, it was kind of the same way. Like I kind of stayed out the way right when the guys think that I'm not making a play, or I'm not around on the field. I pop up with a big play and something to change the game. So that's where, there's like, watch out for the Ghost. He's a game changer. And ever since I was there, man, they gave me that nickname, and it stuck with me ever since I got to the league.
Talk to me a little bit about, your journey and how it kind of mirrors D. Delaney, another Beaufort guy who kind of went through the same journey of had success at the college level and then grinding to try to get on a roster at the NFL level, and finally broke through and now having great success and having a great career in the league. How much did you talk with him and try to be a mentor to him in seeing the similar path you guys were on?
I think we have very similar paths, man, with him just going through what he went through, especially with me. When I went through what I went through, I mean, it take grit for anybody to go through there, to get released, come back, sit at home, work a job, to go back out there, you know what I'm saying, and not give up, to still fight and still find yourself on the 53-man roster, man. So when I talk to D, I try to just give him any knowledge and anything I can give him on the game, especially because he's a defensive guy and I played in the secondary. I always open arms to him and just try to give him free game, and let him know what's going on out there, certain situations, what to be thinking. And if you have any questions with anything, man, like, please don't hesitate to call my phone. So, we have conversations in the off season whenever we run into each other, and we speak ball a little bit. And I try to just give him the game, and he does a great job of just taking the knowledge in and, running with it. I seen he's doing a good job this year.
Just some kids from the Lowco who bound themselves and they won. And just two great stories. Puna Ford, another one, playing for the Seahawks, and a guy who was slept on throughout his entire process, and now he is on his way to a lucrative contract with the Seahawks. And speaking of your story, bouncing around a few teams early on in your career, just take me through the emotions in that journey with the Raiders, Seahawks, Panthers, and up with the Chiefs, and had that terrific few years over there from I believe 2013 to 2018, and just take me through that process and how you continue to bet on yourself to make it big in the league.
I always knew that I had a skill. I always knew that I had a skill that none of those other guys really had into the league. And my speed was always kind of my ticket, I call it. And just once I got there, and I always just knew I was a playmaker. And I knew once I got my opportunity to get on the field and make plays, I would make plays. So I just wanted to continue fighting just so I can prove those guys wrong, that just give me opportunity. Just give me opportunity. So just keep fighting. So when I do make it, you know what I mean, I can show you guys. And just by, when I got released by the Raiders, Carolina, all those teams that I got released by, everybody, I have never really played defense or taken a snap for them. So I really didn't have an opportunity to showcase my talent. But even with the Seahawks, when I first got there, even though I was young, I always just thought I was a playmaker. And anytime the ball in the air, a guy like me, I just felt like it was mine. And the game rush was always different than practice to me. I would practice cool, but the game just always, my adrenaline flow, and it just was a little bit different to me. And I think that as soon as I knew that when I got in the game and got my opportunity, that I would take the next step. And I'm so proud that Andy Reid, he gave me the opportunity, man, when I got to Kansas City to get on the field and play defense. And when I got my opportunity, I showcased my talent and was able to work my way in the starting role. And, I was blessed to be able to come and end it out on the end of the stick where I'm at now. So I toot my hat off to Andy, man, just for really giving me the opportunity and really trusting me and believing me.
Yeah, man. Obviously, I'm a Chiefs fan from way back, so I love me some Andy Reid, and I loved watching you. And I got to see you in person one time, a big win over Baltimore a few years back. So that was cool. We'll talk Chiefs another time, though. We'll geek about that. What do you know anything about Powdersville, and what are you expecting on Thursday night from your Eagles? You think we're going to come out and take care of business here?
Oh yeah, when I heard about Powdersville, I'm like, man, I never heard of them, but it's obviously, they have to be a great football team. After just doing a little bit of research on them, I see what they do. I was very impressed, man. And they got a good football team from what I've seen and from what I heard the last 24 hours. So I'm impressed just for them to even get there. I mean, toots my head up to them, because it ain't no team that's going to be playing in the state championship who, that's not deserved to be there. I think for those guys to be there on the field with Beaufort, man, that's big. And I just hope we come out with the win on the other side of the stick, and I'll be there cheering for them.
It's going to be a fantastic game. And just tell me about, how that heartbreak from last year against South Point and the experience of playing in a state championship game a year ago will help push this team over the top this time around, and that second straight opportunity in Columbia. Oh
yeah, man. Last year they took a tough one down to South Point. I mean, South Point had a really good team, really experienced, and Beaufort got the experience what it was like to play against a really good experienced team. And I think how South Point was last year, I think that's how the Beaufort team is this year on the 3A level. I think they're that much good, and I think with them experiencing what they went through last year, I think it won't take them long to get into the game, to get a rhythm, to get going. Last year it took them a little minute. I think with them having experience, they should get going pretty quick, and pretty experienced, and they should be ready for it.
Yep, and I bet Bryce Laburn takes the ball if he gets a chance.
Oh yeah, that's always the goal.
Give me the ball. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Ghost. We appreciate you, man, and we'll definitely catch up with you another time. And we appreciate your time on a Saturday morning, and appreciate your support for Beaufort High football and for the Lowco, man. Rising tide lifts all boats.
All right. Thank you guys, man. Have a good day.
All right. We'll be right back with more here on the Lowco Pigskin.
Hey, students, would you like to get a closer look at the action and then share what you see with sports fans around the Lowcountry to keep them informed? We're always looking for new members of Team Lowco, and we can show you the ropes of what we do and help you start building a portfolio of work for college applications or a future career in sports media. Send an email to locosports@gmail.com today to find out more about our student media initiative. All right, guys. Well, what a terrific show. Thanks so much to everybody who helped us out. Colton Phares is a class act, so stoic. We couldn't get him to break much. He's so serious, but man, you see it come out on the football field, on the wrestling mat. He is an intense competitor, and his tenacity is really something special. So we appreciate his time and insight. Robert Mustar was terrific. Win or lose on Thursday night, that guy's a class act. Best of luck to him and his program going forward. Jimmy Searson, one of the greatest guys you'll ever meet, and just the biggest, most genuine Beaufort High fan imaginable. I mean, terrific guy. I would love it for him, if nothing else, to get this state championship for Beaufort. And then Ron Parker, what a great guy. We're already talking about collaborations in the future between the Ghost and Lowco. So love that dude, and looking forward to seeing him on Thursday night, and looking forward to seeing all of you on Thursday night as well, hopefully at Benedict College for Beaufort High's big game against Powdersville. But if not, we'll catch you on the recap show. We're still figuring out the logistics on when we'll be able to record a recap show, but we'll definitely get that for you. Have some great guests and some highlights, and hopefully a state championship for the Lowco. That's going to do it for this episode and this season of the Lowco Pigskin Preview. Thanks so much for joining us, and until kickoff, go Lowco.